Cop told me I ran a stop sign at 5 a.m. in the morning on the way to work because he pulled me over and my car smelled like weed. I smoked weed the night before. He found nothing, but he gave me a ticket for running a stop sign, which I didn't even do. But
Crazy.
But there's nothing you do at 5 a.m.
Did you go contest that? Did you go fight it? See if they...
I'm not going to court. Fuck that.
Yeah, sometimes not worth the time.
I went and fought tickets. Normally they try and give you some sort of
I was late for work and called my boss. I was like, yeah, I got pulled over. My car smelled like pot. Store opened late. He didn't care. Like, but they wouldn't let me call. They pulled me over at 5 and the store got open at 6:10 because they wouldn't let me call my boss. They're like, just let me call my boss and tell him I'm going to be late. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll let you do that. And then they never went to that.
Man, one time Nick and Kelsey and I were heading to Kyrk's house, and we were just coming from his folks' place, and we were just smoking road bowls pretty much the entire way there and back. Car was just, it was wintertime too, car was just hotboxed, and then see those whoop whoop flashing lights behind you and get pulled over, and like a cop comes up, and Nick gives him the license and everything, and Nick's license is expired, it turns out. Yeah. And I don't remember that. But he had recently gotten a new license because he lost his old one and thought it would automatically be renewed, even though his birthday was coming up soon and he knew it was going to expire, but he thought because he got it recently that it would be automatically updated, which it wasn't. He still had to go in and get another new one on his birthday. And so the cop came back saying, your license is totally expired. And he's like, shit, I had no idea, explains the whole thing. The cop seems okay with it, but he says, okay, well, was anyone else in this car able to drive that's not stoned? Because all I can smell is a bunch of weed coming off this car. And I'm sitting in the back seat just as high as ever. I'm thinking, fuck, we're fucked. Everyone here is so baked. And then I thought, there's no way he could know I'm baked. And so I piped up and said, I'm good to drive. I'm not baked. And he looked at me and said, you hesitated an awful lot there. Are you sure you're not baked? And I was like, he fucking knows I'm baked.
I wouldn't have hesitated if I wasn't baked.
No, then you start thinking, like, was that a slightly longer pause than I would if I wasn't?
Exactly.
Well, then I had to be on
the... you're pausing.
Yeah. You're taking too long.
You don't think fast enough. I gotta think fast.
Yeah, man. Sometimes your brain's not going the speed you need it. So I had to be on the ball, though, and I just said, no, I don't know why I hesitated, I'm fine, I can totally drive. And he said, okay, I'm going to have to ask you to step out of the vehicle, and I don't know, I'm going to check you out, I'm going to feel your body, make sure you're good shape.
See the cut of your jug.
So I get out of the car, and he takes my license from me, and he makes sure it's good. He's doing the whole shine the light in your eyeballs and checking your eyes and looking at the license, and I'm just standing there just so high.
Trying to look as normal as possible.
Yeah, you're just thinking, you're overthinking everything. Look normal,
your hands
act
in?
normal.
No.
How should I hold my hands? How should I be standing? Anyways, and he just looks at me really intently, and he says, are you sure you're good to drive? And I don't know how my eyes weren't just so bloodshot. But I say yeah enough times. He's convinced, and then he says, okay, drive safe, have a good night. So now I get behind the wheel of Nick's car, and it's a standard. And I haven't even driven in months at all, any vehicle, let alone a stick shift. And it's on this super steep hill coming up from the Windsor Junction there. So I'm just like, if this cop sees me try to leave, I'm gonna get pulled right the fuck over again. Anyway, so the cop actually did pull away before me. So I was like, fuck. So he left. I knew I was good, and then I did a really horrible smoking tires off in the wrong lane take off, but got her going. And
so I'm saying, I'd
once you're at a first, you're good.
Yeah, once I got her going, it was fine. But
just play the waiting game. Yeah. But then maybe that'd be see. But if I'm sitting,
I should have just got out and let Nick drive again. Looking back, like, okay, he's gone. Nick, you get back in this car and drive us away.
He's up right near in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then, it's just you don't know in situations like that. You just gotta get after it, do something.
Yeah, react.
Yeah, that's the hesitation that almost got me. He almost knew.
No, dude.
Yeah.
But now you're aware of that fact. Next time that cop's gonna get fucking wrecked, and you're gonna be able to drive as high as you want.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Get stuck.
Man, there was some times driving. I was working at the Autoport, and I just get way too high with Nick in the morning. Just be driving, looking for that turn off. I'm supposed to take these expensive cars too. Did I fucking miss it? Taking these things on a joyride by accident. But eventually you see the sign, you're like, oh, I didn't miss it. It just feels like it's taking so much longer than usual.
That reminds me of this one day at work I had recently. Like, my job is either like an event is happening or I'm like setting up that event. Uh-huh. And so on the setting up days, those days are sick because I work with Brandon, and we just basically can do our own thing. You know what I mean? And it's a good way to spend it. So on those days, we'll usually get pretty high because that's a better way to spend it. And
your responsibilities aren't so
that,
you know,
exactly.
Like,
We have the volcano, and we're used to that like type of high. But then we didn't have like 2 weeks, and we were only smoking joints. So I was like used to that high. We were so excited. We hit the volcano before we go to work, and we were like, well, we got to do like an actual thing today, but like it should be good. Because we realized we were way too high on the bus ride there. And I'm like, okay, everything's going to be fine. Like, we're going to get to work. Everything's going to, like, go in its normal work way that it goes. You know what I mean? It's just going to be a work day, and you're going to be there, and it's going to be fine. However, as soon as I get there, my boss just, like, runs down and grabs me, which is something that never happens. Grabs me and yells at me to go downstairs and like, because something's going wrong. Like, she's, like, freaking out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, okay, sure. And I'm just like, go downstairs, and I'm just like, kind of still freaking out, and this guy's like, I can't get my thing to plug into the thing, and I just, I'm like, man.
You look stressed.
Wasn't it?
I'm
just
like
remembering.
thinking about it, that's what I'm saying, this is honestly
Wasn't it
too
like
real.
an old man trying to like, wasn't he like...
Dude, there's so many old men.
Wasn't it just some like rich old guy, and he just like could not for the life of him figure out like what was it? Was it like a power? Was it a projector or something?
Man, okay. So the part of my job is to take a computer and get it onto a screen. Now, the process of which, for most people our generation, seems very obvious. However, people never know how to use this kind of shit, and it's driving me crazy. People who think they can just show up with a laptop and connect it just with a USB cable to a screen to make it happen. Stop thinking that way. I need to know HDMI or VGA, please.
Has a monitor ever used a USB? I don't recall.
That's what I'm saying.
Nope.
No, they never do.
No.
They're too intense.
Bring your own cables.
Did
If
you
you got a
support
weird
power?
ass computer that doesn't have like ports, bring a thing for that. Like, you do this every day. You travel around, you put on these shows for people, man. Holy fuck.
Seminars.
So
I'm just like,
it
I
sounds
already
like it's amazing the amount of people who'd have show up unprepared.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's craziness.
I think the more different kinds of jobs I've had, the more I've learned that nothing is actually happening according to
Exactly.
plan at all, anywhere.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't even make any sense how
Yeah.
everything's happening.
Yeah, it is a marvel.
Yeah,
Wow,
every single
we're
industry I've ever
making money.
seen.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, I feel like my job is a really weird job because I'll get to see adults who are like fully holding themselves up to that like idea of successful adult
Yeah,
doing successful business in what society deems as successful business.
yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, like, do not look at me, please, because my shit is garbage. But I'm gonna point out your flaws.
Don't look at mine.
Do not look at mine. But like, you know, you check out
Yeah.
that person's like the way they treat people is like insane. Some of these guys, like these really higher up like CEOs of companies.
Or like fucking like
They're fucking pretty
57-year-old
weird, man.
Arbonne saleswomen.
Oh,
you
dude,
know,
it's
like,
seriously like a cult. Like,
Yeah.
it's very strange. It's really, really weird.
I see a lot of those religious people like that.
Well,
Yeah,
that is a cult.
It's an organized cult.
Well, it seems like people just never take their own lives in their own hands, and they just keep riding in the same old hand-me-down car that they were given. Their hand-me-down fucking
Yeah.
ideology and
Yeah,
culture,
yeah, totally.
familial
It's easy.
situation. Yeah, it's
so comfortable.
it's the path that's already before
everyone
you.
does it.
But
It's
then to
very
become a
different.
real individual adult human being, you have to blaze your own trail. That's what being an individual
Totally.
means. So you have to break away from the tradition. But the thing is that you need tradition because it's what gets you going. It's
Yeah.
what holds everything together. So you need that, but you also need to be like using the tradition for the benefit of the
Yeah.
current living individuals.
It's like in music or whatever, like, you theory and stuff like that will really help you like get on this level to like speak with that informed like shit. You know what I mean?
I understand though, because
how eloquent that was.
No, I'm not eloquent, dude. I can't do it
was
eloquently.
perfect.
I've never been able to do it eloquently.
I disagree.
yeah, you have very touching moments of speech that have been around.
Oh, okay, thank you.
It happens, yeah.
That's something I'd like to play.
Okay.
Into the conversation.
Brings us once again to the urgent realization of just how much there is still left to own.
Own, guys.
The meaning of life. Now, Harry, you've had some thoughts on this?
That's right, yeah. I've had a team working on this over the past few weeks, and what we've come up with can be reduced to two fundamental concepts. One, people are not wearing enough hats. Two, matter is energy. In the universe, there are many energy fields which we cannot normally perceive. Some energies have a spiritual source which act upon a person's soul. However, this soul does not exist ab initio, as Orthodox Christianity teaches. It has to be brought into existence by a process of guided self-observation. However, this is rarely achieved owing to man's unique ability to be distracted from spiritual matters by everyday trivia.
What was that about hats again?
You should definitely grab that audio clip so you can like put it in the
I will for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
sync it up, have it louder
Yeah.
during the podcast, and then edit all this out.
Yeah.
You don't want to edit a lot of me out for sure.
No, it's all in. It's all in, baby. That's the deal. Oh, Jesus. Speaking of being all in. Oh, God. We have a beer spilled on the carpet. It's a
okay.
travesty.
I don't think it would be New Year's Eve.
No.
But what I like about that is that they say that the soul can't be achieved unless it's through like guided
Right.
self-awareness.
Self-affirmation.
100%.
Yeah, and like most people don't ever get to achieve it. So
no.
you see these people walking around without souls,
Yeah.
so to speak.
It's
They don't
the-
have their own life. They just seem
Yeah.
like they're just
Yeah.
blank slates almost.
It's the rat race.
They don't grow up.
They never take on their own life and really step into their own self and become whatever it is that they're bound to become. You know, which seems to be something like following that pull of like answering the call of the things that are naturally show themselves to you as being fascinating or interesting. The things that you're interested in feel compelled and motivated to move in certain directions, like towards music. It's more than just I'm sure none of us really ever. There probably was a point where we decided, okay, I'm gonna go study music or pursue music or whatever at some point, but it didn't happen at first like that. It was more like just a weird, subtle, kind of intuitive interest in the guitar or in music in general. And, but for some reason, it seems like there's a lot of people who never actually pursue anything.
The trivial
Of their
things
own.
keep us distracted, I think. The advertising keeps us so distracted
Yeah.
and running around. You just have no time for that. You hear tons of people say that. I got no time for that.
Yeah.
Even some of my students, as young as like 6 and 7, they'll be like, "I'm busy," and I'll be, "What do you have? What do you have to do?" Like, because I learned how to play when I wasn't at school. He's just like that's an instinct as well as someone. You show someone something. You say, "Here, check this out. Try this," and they go, "I can't do that," or "I won't do that." You hear it all the time. It's weird. It's just bred in them from a very early age.
Maybe it's
It's
like
hard.
also super important to have that person who's already been there and done that. I think it's totally possible that a lot of these people never actually met a real person before.
Kids raising kids, basically, is what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
these people that are posing as adults aren't adults. And then how are these kids supposed to learn it? It seems
Yeah.
hopeless. You know, you got two parents that don't know, and then
Well, hopefully, like one source of optimism might be from the internet, where
Well, exactly.
everyone and anyone can broadcast whatever the fuck it is they're up to. So, in an ideal situation, and I think it already is arguably the case with some people, that they just naturally wind up with a huge audience naturally on the internet. People like Joe Rogan or Jocko Willink or Cameron Haynes, or just any of these really influential, inspiring people. that we can all kind of have access to them, whereas before you're just born with the people that are around you, and that's all you have access to. That's the only kind of person you might ever see. But then again, the question is like, how do you